Who should you take advice from? This is a question that I think nobody ever really thinks about super intentionally, but it really does matter. We kind of default to just taking advice from our parents first and then from our close friends. But how often do we really analyze what people we go to for specific advice and if those people are really qualified to be speaking into our lives in those areas? In today's video, I want to talk about how we should be selective about who we take advice from, whether it's wise to have a large number of people we seek counsel from, or if we should just have a select few people we go to for our problems. Whether it's helpful to vent to people and what type of people we should be venting to. We're getting into all this and more in today's episode. So, all right, I want to start with this video mostly just because I think it's funny and it has something to do with what we're going to talk about today. So let's listen to Kanye talk about how we should take advice.
And you can ignore me. You can ignore me.
Pierce, how much money are you worth?
Not as much as you, sadly.
Exactly. So take my advice. Maybe you'll get richer.
I would love to take your business advice.
Why would I listen to you?
Well, why don't you hear what my advice is and then work out if I'm wrong?
So I think that video is just kind of funny because it has something actually really insightful to it. Piers actually makes a really good point where he says, Kanye, I would actually love to take your business advice. But he points out that, maybe Kanye West, not a great advisor on most other things in life because you kind of seem like you're off your rocker, but you have made a lot of money. One of the key things I think to getting advice from people is you want to generally take advice from people who are in life where you want to be. So if you're going to go to somebody for advice on how to be a great husband, then you want to find somebody who is a great husband. If you want to go to somebody on how to make great investment decisions or how to build a real estate portfolio or how to invest in Bitcoin, then you want to go to somebody who's had some success in that arena, right? Just like you don't want to, it sounds harsh, I know this, but you don't want to have an overweight physical trainer or dietitian. That kind of is the same thing. You don't really want to have somebody who's gone bankrupt multiple times and has a really low net worth as your financial advisor. The same thing goes with, you probably don't want to take marriage advice from your cousin who's been divorced 6 times. So in any aspect of your life, this is kind of obvious, but a lot of people violate this rule. You generally don't want to take advice from people who are not in the place that you want to be. A lot of women I know take advice from their single friends on what they should do in their relationship, especially your perpetually single friends, probably not the best source for relationship guidance. Now, in my opinion, the exception to that rule is somebody who's coaching you on how to not end up where they are. So somebody who is your cousin, for example, who's been divorced 6 times, that person might be an actual great source of how to avoid getting divorced, right? Because they're not going to be able to coach you to maybe being a great spouse or developing a great relationship, but they can kind of teach you the way that their marriage has fallen apart. So whatever has kind of gotten them to that area, whatever knocked them off the horse, somebody who is overweight might not make a great fitness coach or, a dietitian for you, but they may be somebody who can tell you that, oh, I was once on the track towards fitness. I used to be a CrossFit athlete, but this is what happened to me. I got hurt and this is where I lost my way. That can be really helpful to say, okay, you used to be really in shape. Now you're kind of struggling, but you at least are telling me that there's this pitfall or this kind of trap that you fell into that really knocked you off this path of excellence and has gotten you to where you are now. So it doesn't mean that you should throw out anything that somebody who isn't a 10 in a given category has to say, but you want to be mindful to say, if you're going to actively give advice of what I should do, you generally want to take that advice from somebody who is in the place that you want to be, because they're the one, just like if you were calling somebody and you were lost, you want to talk to somebody who at least knows how to get there or is in that location, right? So that's somebody who's had past success or is currently successful in that given area of life. But if you want to avoid getting lost while you're on your way towards that place, or you want to avoid an accident or the traffic that's going to hold you up, then somebody who has not yet arrived can still tell you how to avoid kind of the potholes in the road, if you will. I recently finished the book, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. I have mixed reviews on the book. Generally, I pretty much liked it, but I don't recommend it to everybody. But I think it had some valuable things to say. It gets into some kind of weird Eastern spirituality. Obviously, he was not a Catholic monk, and so he's going to have some weird spiritual takes. But I think generally the book had a lot of value on just how to be a person, how to be mindful, how to be present, and how to be more grateful. But one of my favorite lines from the book had to do with this topic of advice. He said, we either make one of two extreme mistakes. We either take one problem to everybody, or we take every problem to one person. So let's dissect those a little bit. We either take one problem to everybody. What that means is that we take this one issue we have. Say I'm having an issue with a coworker, or I'm having an issue with my spouse, or I'm having an issue with one of my children. And I take that problem to everybody that I talk to. So all of my friends, I take it to my coworkers, I take it to all of our friends, me and my wife's friends, I take it to my pastor, I take it to anybody that I'm talking to, on the train or on a flight or anything like that. I'm getting all this different input, right? People from different places spiritually, people with different values, people who don't have kids, people who don't work in my industry or in my realm, or have to deal with certain issues and the dynamics that I'm dealing with in my workplace. All of these different things. I'm getting all these different opinions. Then I really just have information overload. I'm getting a lot of bad opinions and a lot of bad insights on how I should handle a given situation. The other extreme is that I take all of my problems to one person. And so that means that I'm having financial problems, and I'm having marital problems, and I'm having workplace issues, and I'm having health and fitness issues. And I take all of those problems to one person and expect them to be my one stop shop of all wisdom, and for them to be able to solve all of my given issues that I'm facing any day of the week. Both of these are problematic, mainly because they're going to lead to inaction, and they're going to lead to you making bad decisions, because you're either going to have a lot of different insights from people who may not have your best interest in mind or know what's best for you. And then you're also going to, on the other side, be struggling with the fact that you have limited information and not enough options and not enough choices being generated with just this one person. Now, if you go to the right person who is really wise and who has been successful and is really excellent, has been successful in multiple different areas of life, then you can take a lot of your problems to one person. But there's never going to be any one person in this entire world that can handle all of your burdens and can help you to solve every problem that you're going to face. So what's the solution here? The Bible actually has something to say about this. There's multiple parts in Proverbs that talk about the fact that having multiple people that you go to for advice, having multiple counselors, is going to lead to success and is going to lead to victory in your life. For example, Proverbs 15:22 says, without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. Proverbs 11:14 says, where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. Similarly, Proverbs 24, verse 6 says, for by wise guidance you can wage your war, but in an abundance of counselors, there is victory. So you see here that there is value in having multiple counselors, having multiple people that you go to for advice. My advice to you is to build your board of directors, your board of advisors that you have for your life. This means you have a couple people in each of these main categories, what I would call the 7 pillars of excellence, that you go to for advice in any specific area. That means that if I need marriage advice, I have 1 to 3 people that come to mind of people I go to for marriage advice. There may be overlap with one of the guys I go to for marriage advice that I may go to for business or financial advice. There may be overlap there with one of those guys with people I'd go to for spiritual advice. But generally, you want to have a few people in all these different areas that you can go to, that you can rely on to say, hey, I need help. I'm stuck in this specific area. Can you give me some insight? Can you listen to my problem? Give me feedback that I can actually use, constructive criticism, constructive feedback, practical feedback that I can implement to actually use to get better in this area of my life. If you're not blessed with those types of people in your life right now, the other way to do that is by seeking counselors and guidance from people that you don't even know. This can be mentors that you have from books that you read. Maybe it's one of your favorite authors, a YouTube channel, a podcast, whatever, you name it. This kind of helps you to formulate and understand how that person thinks and why they're successful in that given area of their lives. And then it helps you to start to understand the way that they think and how they would attack the problem that you're currently facing. Patrick Bet-David has a lot of stuff on this. He has a whole painting that he had commissioned with all of his kind of board of advisors, his directors that he likes to sit down with in his mind and just think about how these people would react and talk about his given issues. People like Abraham Lincoln are included in that. I think Tupac is one of them for him. I don't recommend necessarily having Tupac in your board of directors, but PBD is free to do whatever he wants. But I think it is important for you to have that kind of mindset of saying, okay, you are the CEO of you. Who is your board of directors? Who are the people who have a vested interest in you, that truly want to see you succeed in life, that actually love you, that want what's best for you and actually have some wisdom to be able to know what's best for you, because there's a lot of gap a lot of times between people who want what's best for you and people who know what's best for you. It's easy, as I said in the very beginning, to default to going to your parents for advice because you know that they want what's best for you, at least in most situations. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they know what's best for you. It could be that your parents have no interest or no visibility or wisdom when it comes to career moves and decisions you should make, or financial decisions and things you should do. Or even if you come, like me, from a divorced home, maybe going to, relationship advice for your parents might not be the best spot if your parents are, repeatedly divorced and haven't had a successful marriage, a successful relationship in their own lives. Even though you love them and even though they love you, they may not be, at least definitely not the sole provider of counsel in your life in a given area. That's it for today. If you liked this episode, if you got value out of this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. It'd be great to have you along for this ride as we journey towards excellence in our personal lives. Thanks for being here today. God bless you. It's time for you to go out there and be your best. I'll see you next time.